women need to have their affairs in order, especially if they have children, if they haven't, if they don't have a will in place. This platform aims to educate women of the importance of having a will in place, the importance of applying for child maintenance if you're a single parent, and obviously the importance of just managing your estate and your legal affairs all around. Through starting the I Am Lady Justice workshops, I wanted to basically encourage women that once they've attended the workshops, they should be in a position to be able to go home and, apply what they've learned in the workshops. The workshops are, an interactive place. They're an interactive session. The engagement is more personal than engaging on social media, where a large following of mine is. So basically, these workshops aim to empower women. They aim to facilitate networking. They aim to facilitate, placing job seekers with prospective employers, placing businesswomen with prospective clients, and obviously aiming to empower women in regards to legal education. I'd really like to encourage women to make it a mission. So the reason why I started this platform is very personal. 22 years ago, when my mom went through her own divorce, I couldn't understand why we had to move house to house, why she lost everything, and obviously through studying the law, I came to understand why she was left in the position she was left in. She was obviously less educated. She hadn't even, completed her degree. She only had a matric certificate. She was a housewife. So her divorce really left her on the streets. So the reason I started this platform was very, very personal. And through engaging with other women, I've come to learn that it's not an old age or an age-old thing that happened to her. It still happens today. Hi, I'm Zanele Macalagh. I am the founder of Sister-in-Law. I'm an attorney by profession, and welcome to the I Am Lady Justice Workshop. Our next speaker is Ms. Zanele Macalagh. Very fancy surname. She's an attorney by profession as well. She got her LLB degree from the University of Wits. Is it Wits? Yeah. And she runs her own law practice called Macalagh and Stanford Attorneys. She specializes in commercial litigation and family law, and she's going to speak on issues pertaining to marriage. So, how many ladies have been lobolad? Lobolad. Ladies?
Just lobolad.
Our girls. Put your hands up. What do you think? How many ladies have actually celebrated their lobola negotiations being finalized? How many of you drafted your antenuptial contracts before the negotiations took place? So you guys are married in community of property. Do you understand that much? Alright. So Zanele is going to come up and speak on the different marriage contracts that exist and the consequences of not having a marriage contract in place. I know with us Africans, we like to merge traditional with Western, and that's how we end up not having antenuptial contracts and being married in community of property. Because limits will sign and that date might never come. So Zanele, please come up.
With marriages, when you do get married, the default position is that you're married in community of property. So if you don't sign an antenuptial contract, prior to the marriage, you are married in community of property. The antenuptial contract, you have to sign with a notary public. A notary public is an attorney. So you do get websites. I've had clients where they've come to me to amend their marital regime because they went on a website and somebody said they can draft the antenuptial contract for them for 1,000 Rand, and then 6 years later you realize you're actually not married out of community of property. So you have to make sure it's also registered with the deeds office. Yeah. Okay. And then should I explain the requirements of a customary marriage? Yes. I'll just explain the requirements of a customary. I don't know if I have time. The requirements of a customary marriage, a valid customary marriage, is that firstly you have to have capacity to enter into the marriage. So you have to be 18 years or older. So if you're younger than 18, I don't think anyone here is younger than 18, you can get consent from the Minister of Home Affairs and they'll allow you to get married. And then If you're a woman, you can't get married more than once to one. If you can't get into another customary marriage if you already entered into one, men can. No, South African law allows polygamy, right?
Yeah.
But only with the men, yes. Okay, then you need consent from both the spouses, so you and your husband need to consent to the marriage for it to be valid. So it doesn't have to be a formal consent where you have to write it down. Informal, implied consent is also valid. Okay, payment of lobola is very important, which is what you use as well. Like when you go register, you just have to show that there was a payment of lobola. Handing over of the bride, so there has to be a ceremony where the bride is actually handed over to the groom's family. And then the last requirement, you have to register it at Home Affairs. But if you don't register it, it doesn't invalidate the marriage. But this just helps you in future if your husband dies or if there's a divorce. You don't want to have to go to court. We all know about the WHP situation and Levanto, where you have to spend so much money just to go to court to prove that you were married to this person. So the best thing to do would be to just register the marriage before. Okay, because there's a lot of uncertainty with the customary marriages. Okay, the second marital regime is out of community of property, which is sort of like a complete separation of property regime where you don't share anything. What's yours is yours, what's mine is mine. So it's very strict anti-nuptial contract with your lawyer. They'll explain it to you that, okay, would you like to exclude, would you like to include? So if you don't, if you exclude the accrual, and you work for him day in and day out, once you get divorced, you walk away with what you came with. He will into your property with accrual. I think this is the best one. I think the lawyers will also agree. It's almost like a middle ground between in community and out of community. So you go into the marriage, you declare what you have when you get into the marriage. So if you coming in with a property that's worth 5 million rand, you declare it at the beginning of the marriage and you exclude it from the marriage. So if you do get divorced, that 5 million rand property will not be included. So if you go in with a nil value, whatever you make during the marriage, afterwards, the monetary contributions that you've made, you actually share. So it's unlike out of community of property without accrual, you don't get anything, you actually share. So if your husband walks away with 70 million and you came in with 1 million, came out of the marriage, I think it's the most appropriate and most ideal for women. And yeah, the disadvantage, it doesn't include inheritances, your legacies, donations. If you sue someone for defamation, let's say, and you win, and you get damages out of that, it's excluded from accrual. So all those things are excluded, but everything else. Should the creditors want to come after your husband and he doesn't have money, they will come after you as well. And then, secondly, if your spouse does die, and then there's a joint estate, sometimes when they're winding up the estate, they do freeze the assets, which means that you won't have any access to it until the winding down has been done. The advantage is that you don't share your creditors. So if you're in the marriage and your husband becomes insolvent, they don't touch you. The only time it only becomes joint after the marriage. I think